Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be using pattern paper from Honeybee Stamps, Simply Spring, and also their Pinstripes and Polka Dot Spring collection. I'll also be using their Happy A2 cover plate die. For a sentiment, I have Bitty Buzzwords Seasons, the stamps and coordinating honeycut dies. And my card will also be featuring their Lovely Layers Tulips die set. And I know my magnetic sheet does not show all of the dies from the Lovely Layers Tulip set. You'll see them later on in the video. I used the Happy A2 cover plate die with the Pinstripes and Polka Dot Spring paper collection, this beautiful light blue color. I'll have the polka dot side showing. The reverse side has the pinstripes, and you will see just a little bit of it peeking through some of the letters of the word happy. I put some tear tape on the back of the die cut, and I'll also use glue to make sure to get all of the areas of the cover plate. I'm using Honeybee Stamps Precision Tip Glue. Then I'll adhere the pinstripe pattern paper on the back side. Next, I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base. This is an American Standard A2 size card, 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. I love how the die cuts out the word happy 4 times. To make the words really pop, you could put a contrasting paper behind, but I'm going for a very subtle look for the background. I also used the die with a sheet of white shimmer cardstock. So I have 4 sets of the letters for the word happy to inlay into the die cut. I'm using a pair of reverse tweezers while I add glue to the back side of the letters, and one by one I'll fill in all of the letters for the background. I don't have the letters in any particular order. I just dumped them in this little wooden bowl that my father made me. The letters inlay very easily. The only thing I notice is there is an up and down side for the letter H. So before adhering the letter H, I made sure to check the placement. Sometimes cover plate dies that have similar pieces aren't exactly the same size, but that's not the case with this die. All of the H's are the same size, all of the letter P are the same size, so you don't have to keep track of which letter goes in which row when you're cutting them out. I will be covering up some of the letters with the tulip image, but I find it easier to still fill all of them in just in case a small portion of that letter is still showing. Now I'll set aside my card and start working on the tulips. Here you can see the rest of the Lovely Layer tulip dies. I'm using this beautiful orange pattern paper from the Simply Spring collection for my tulips. Pink tulips are my absolute favorite, but coming in second are orange tulips. I'm not a fan of orange, but something about the vibrant orange color of tulips is just beautiful. I'll add a little bit of color to the ends of the tulip petals using Catherine Pooler's ginger ink color and a blender brush. I'm using a mini stencil mat from Waffle Flower so I don't make a mess on my craft table. I try to visit the Skagit Valley tulip fields in Western Washington every year, and I was able to go this year about 2 weeks ago. The tulips and daffodils bloomed late this year. Weather was not ideal, it was rainy and windy, but there's a huge advantage to visiting the fields when it's not sunshiny. No crowds. I went with my husband and we pretty much had the tulip field to ourselves. I'm already looking forward to visiting again next year. Now it's time to assemble the Lovely Layer tulips. There are 3 different sizes of flowers. There's the bud, the regular size, and also a large tulip that's fully open. This set also includes the large stem with a leaf, a smaller stem with a leaf, and then a single stem for the bud. The die cuts are easy to layer together to create beautiful tulips, but you can always check Honeybee Stamps' website for a layering guide. Their Lovely Layer floral sets are some of my favorite. I love the etched detail on the flowers and the leaves. I'm not adding glue to the top portion of most of the petals. That way I can curl the petals up slightly to add some dimension. The large open tulip also includes the pieces for the very center, and I cut those out from some yellow cardstock. Now I'll assemble the medium-sized tulip, and there are less pieces as the flowers get smaller. For this tulip, I'm also slightly curling up the petals. Now I'll work on the final tulip bud, and there are just 3 die-cut pieces to assemble it. Now that I have all of my tulips assembled, I can add them to my card. For a little extra detail, I cut out a grass die cut using Honeybee Stamps grass border die. I'll put glue on the back and adhere it to the very bottom of my card. And I did cut it slightly wider than my card panel. I'll simply flip it over and trim off the extra with a pair of scissors. Now I'll add the tulip stems and leaves, starting with the largest one. I'll put glue on the back and adhere it not quite in the center, slightly off to the left. And I will be covering up 3 of the happy words with the tulip die cuts. Next I'll add the medium stem on the right and the tulip bud stem on the left. I'm tucking the very bottom of the stem behind the grass border. I cut out 1 additional small leaf to add to the larger tulip flower. And I'll adhere it on the right side. Now I can add the tulip flowers. I'll start with the tulip bud and I'll place it fairly low. It'll be right underneath that large leaf. Next I'll adhere the medium-sized tulip. To make sure to get placement correct, I'll lay the larger tulip flower down without adhesive. And I made sure to put the tulips low enough so you could see the very top word happy. For the larger tulip bloom, I am popping it up using some thin foam dimension. I love the look of the vibrant orange tulips against the light blue background. Now I'll add the rest of the sentiment. I stamped out the word happy, and I cut out the word spring from some dark teal cardstock. The outline, I used some white shimmer cardstock. I'll adhere the word onto the outline die cut, and I did switch to barely art glue since it has a super fine tip. I love Honeybee Stamps Buzzwords. It's nice to have the large size and also the smaller bitty size. And this is the bitty size. I won't forget to dot the I, and I am using an embellishment wand to pick up that teeny tiny piece. Now I'll add some foam dimension on the back of the word spring. And I'm using Honeybee Stamps thin white foam strips. I already have foam dimension on the back of the word happy. I'll adhere the word spring in the lower right-hand corner and add the word happy right above it. For embellishments, I'm using Honeybee Stamps Pastel Pearl stickers, using this light blue color that matches the background. Put 2 underneath the word happy in the upper left-hand corner and 3 above the word spring in the lower right-hand corner. They do have adhesive on the back, but I like to add a drop of glue just to make sure they stay in place. For a final finishing touch, I'm putting a little bit of sparkle on the center of the large tulip using a clear glitter brush. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I love how this card turned out. Tulips always make me happy, and they're blooming all over the place right now. It's not every year that tulips bloom all the way into May, so I'm really enjoying seeing them right now. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links provided in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.